Two.
All right, welcome everybody. This is Alex Lopez from the Alex Lopez Band, and welcome to my Alex Lopez Talk segment on the Alex Lopez Rocks YouTube channel. Joining us today is the amazing and talented Ben Cote from the Ben Cote Band, also C-Glass guitarist and shredder extraordinaire. Ben, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I've really been looking forward to this.
Oh, me too, man. Me too. Like, I see, we have actually a little bit of a history, you and I, because we actually took guitar classes back to back from the same instructor back in the day.
We did. I think you were the guitar lesson right before me with Brandon Durham back in Leominster. And
yeah, in the LSL days. Yep.
I think it was Tuesdays, if I remember right. I'd see you every Tuesday.
Yeah, it would be. I think it was like Tuesday. I'd be walking out, you'd be walking in.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, that was fun. So tell me a little bit about your history with music. What got you into music?
Let's see. Well, I was probably about 12 when I really started getting into music. I didn't start playing guitar till I think I was 14 or 15, 14. Yeah, I discovered my dad's old Van Halen albums. It was the 5150 album and the 1984 album. Nice. And that just kind of opened up a whole new universe for me from there. Because I mean, for a kid growing up, I was millennial, Generation Z, whatever you want to call me. But growing up in the mid to late 2000s, there really wasn't any music like that. From at least that all my friends were listening to. So it was kind of this whole new world for me. And then from Van Halen, that's when I started discovering Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses and Eric Clapton and AC/DC and just all these bands. It was really just kind of a snowball effect. Yeah, so I was really into music for a couple of years, that style of music. And then, like I said, I was about 14 when I decided I wanted to learn how to play guitar. I think it was in 8th grade. I figured, I could learn a couple chords on acoustic guitar to, impress girls or something like that. And, and I signed up, my parents signed me up for lessons with Brandon Durham at Gordon LaSalle Music. And he was I couldn't have asked for a better teacher. And just like the first lesson, I was just bitten by the bug. And it kind of went from me, like I said, trying to learn a few chords to just being so immersed that like I wasn't really meeting any girls because I was spending all my time in my room, practicing scales and learning it and trying to I was completely bitten by the bug.
Yeah, that's the catch-22 there. It's like you want to impress girls, but you want to get really good at it so that you can actually impress them.
Yeah, well, I mean, at that point, it kind of the switch kind of went off, and it was just like that was my focus, especially through high school. I mean, I was a total loser in high school. I was just, I just wanted to play music, and that was my only focus really back then. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And shout out to Brandon Durham, because like we had talked about, we both took guitar classes with him. So
yeah, awesome. He's one of the few teachers. It's really rare to find a combination of someone that's such a phenomenal teacher, but also a phenomenal player as well. Because a lot of times you'll have some great players that maybe don't really know how to teach. Then sometimes you get some amazing teachers, but they're not really on the playing side of it. And he could do everything.
Oh, absolutely. His style is extremely adaptable. Like the stuff that I wanted to learn was like Alice in Chains and Jerry Cantrell and that grungy stuff. And then like with the stuff that you were doing with like the 80s rock and the classic rock with like Van Halen and Aerosmith. So everything, he's like probably one of the most multifaceted guitarists I've ever met.
Yeah, and I learned so much from him just beyond that. I mean, especially being a teacher now myself, just his whole philosophies and his approach to. I mean, he was almost more of like a life coach to me too. like
that's fantastic.
Especially in high school, when you need when you need that. But yeah.
Now you mentioned you're a teacher. You teach at Berklee, correct?
Well, I graduated in Berklee in 2018, and then they asked me to come back and teach their summer programs right after I graduated, which I was really, really grateful for. So I did that for a couple of years, and now I'm the full-time coordinator of the guitar department. So I'm not actually teaching there anymore.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm kind of doing more of the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff, and helping run the department and more of the.
That's fantastic.
Things like that, but I do teach privately on my own separately. I teach nights via Zoom. Keep teaching.
Fantastic. Now, what was that like aha moment for you? Because I know you said you were really into Van Halen and Aerosmith and Clapton. But what was that? Did you have like a specific song or a moment that you kind of just said, this is what I want to do?
Wasn't really a song learning, because the second I started really learning how to play guitar, I mean, I was just like the blinders were on. I mean, I just knew I wanted to do that. I didn't really know that I wanted to make that a career at the time, but I think it was right after I graduated 8th grade. I think I was the summer before high school, or the very beginning of my freshman year in high school. My dad and I went to go see the Joe Perry Project at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom up in New Hampshire, and it was one of the times that I think Steven Tyler was in rehab. So Joe Perry just went out and did a couple like kind of local New England dates, just to keep playing. And I remember my dad and I it was general admittance. My dad and I got there. Must have been like 5 hours early, and we got there, and we stood right in front of the stage on Joe Perry's side for 5 hours, just
wow.
and just to be up close. I remember when he came on, I mean, he was so close. If I reached out, like his guitar was in arm's length. He was there, and I remember I was like 14, maybe I just turned 15, and I remember just kind of standing there, just like in absolute awe of him. And that was kind of the moment where, like, you know what, I want to do this. I want to find a way to do this as a career. So that was really the moment that
That's so cool.
Kind of lighting the fire in me that way.
Nice. Now, you've been putting out music pretty consistently. You have any new projects you got coming up? Any releases?
Yeah, I have been working on a new album for the Ben Cote Band. The goal is to get it out this summer. We just released an album back last October called What the Doctor Ordered. Because everything being on lockdown, we've been working on the album a bit prior to that, but then with everything on lockdown, it kind of gave me the opportunity to kind of sit down. And that was the first album that the band's released that I did everything as far as, I produced it, I mixed it, I engineered it, and all that. So we released that. Unfortunately, it was the same day that Eddie Van Halen passed away. That it was the day that released. I mean, we had that date planned for months. So as fate would have it would be the same day that happened. But so that album, we did a couple music videos for it. Once we were able to, the world's starting to go somewhat back to normal. So you can see those on YouTube. But we have 2 albums before that as well. Our first album, which we released in 2016, was called Tight Jeans and Sunglasses. And then that was produced by David Minahan at Holy Mammoth Sound in Waltham. Was in familiar with the band The Neighborhoods. They were a really big punk band in Boston back in the day.
Nice.
And then he produced our second album, which for me, our second album, which is called Get Your Licks In, that was kind of like the album where we started kind of I kind of started figuring it out as a songwriter, and the band, I think, really started to come together. The first album that we did was kind of more us kind of learning our way around the studio and kind of me trying to find my sound as a songwriter and all that. But Get Your Licks In, that's kind of that was like our flagship album for a while.
That's excellent. Excellent. Yeah. By the way, if anyone wants to hear or find out where Ben's music is, it will be posted in the description below this video. You're gonna have all his handles, his Instagram, his Facebook, and whatever music handles. So we'll be posting those with this interview. Get Your Licks In I thought was a really a step up from your first album. Like, your first album was really good, but kind of like you were saying, it kind of shaped a little more with this one, with your second one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because our first one, like I said, we're all pretty green, and trying to kind of find our way, around the studio. I was still trying to find my sound, I still really didn't know how to write a song. I look at that first album and I'm proud of it. But there really wasn't too many standout songs on it for me. It's kind of more, it's very timid sounding. I'll put it that way, as a songwriter. And then because at that point I was still trying to learn how to be a front man and be a singer, because I was trying to balance the two. Up until that point, I was trying to be like a Jimmy Page or a Eddie Van Halen, kind of that side guy, guitar hero. And then when it got to the point where I realized, I had to kind of be the singer and be the front man as well. When it came to the songwriting part of it, I was trying to figure out how do I combine these two entities, and Get Your Licks In kind of did that. And Get Your Licks In was kind of released in an important time in my life, because that was we recorded that the same year that you know, we were graduating Berklee. So
Yeah.
you know, I figured, you know, I really wanted to have a really professional album to kind of go out in the real world with. So I had several CDs that my grandparents had got me when I was a kid. They were finally matured enough, so I cashed them all in, and that's how we paid for the studio time for that. And you know, that album, you know, did well, you know, locally, and you know, got the band a lot of traction. I think, you know, our fans really enjoyed it, and I'm really proud of that album. And then, like I said, the album we released, you know, this past few months, and last October, you know, that was kind of a milestone for us too, because that was kind of me putting on the producer's hat as well, and saying, all right, you know, I did the guitar playing thing, and then I was able to kind of, you know, step up and do some of the singing and fronting thing that I had to do. It's like the next step, you know, in the progression for me just naturally seemed to try to, you know, be able to start producing and engineering things on my own too. And it's you know, much more financially easier too than paying for studio time. So that was kind of a learning album as well. And I look back on that, and you know, the songwriting, I'm really proud of a lot of the tunes on it. And it's like I was still kind of learning my way around how to get certain sounds out of it. So I kind of took everything I learned from that one, and I've been applying it to this new one, which we don't really have a release date yet, or a title, but you know, it's in the works.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's all I'll say right now.
That's great, man. I'm excited to hear what you kind of put out there. So it's going to be good. Yeah. I remember, I think the first time I saw you was either it was 2016. You were actually playing at the 3-piece. You were doing vocals and guitars, and I'm like, this kid is awesome. Like, you know, like you were able to do, like, I know a lot of people probably compared you to like Eddie Van Halen, but I think with the Van Halen and Joe Perry influences kind of blended together, I got like believe it or not, a Billy Squier vibe. And I know people kind of like knock Billy Squier, but if you actually take out the music videos and just listen to the albums, that guy was like top tier Joe Perry / Eddie Van Halen style of guitarist. And then just like, unfortunately, the music videos didn't give him the credit he deserved. But
well, it was just that one music video that
one music video that did him in. Yeah, but it's like, and that's just it. So like, I kind of see a little bit of that in you too. And I don't think, you know, everyone's like, oh yeah, Eddie Van Halen, and oh yeah, Joe Perry, but I kind of see a little bit of that too, you know?
Well, thank you. I think the artist that kind of really influenced me to kind of have the confidence to kind of go out there and just do it was actually Phil X. I don't know if you're familiar with.
Oh yeah, he's now Bon Jovi's touring guitarist.
Yeah, and just because I remember back in high school, I was pumping gas throughout high school, and that's actually, well, that story will come and play later when I talk about gear. But I remember it was at Happy Car in Fitchburg. I don't know if in downtown Fitchburg, I'd pump gas there. And it was, you know, full serve, and in between on nights that it was, you know, it wasn't that busy, which it wasn't too often. It was always pretty busy there. But whenever I'd have a chance in between you know, customers, I'd have there's a computer there, and I'd just be watching Phil X's videos that he did, because he got famous demoing guitars. There's a music shop, I think it's Calabasas, California, and just watching him be able to play and sing all this stuff, like, because he kind of had that Eddie Van Halen vibe of playing. He almost had like a Robert Plant or even like Sammy Hagar kind of vocal, like screaming vocal style, and he just had so much energy. And the thing about him is he was just so organic and so raw, you know, and he just kind of had this really almost like a punk rock vibe, like attitude, just kind of take no prisoners, you know, unapologetic. Just it is what it is as far as his performance style.
Yeah, he's definitely DIY too, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what made me say, you know what, I mean, I think I can do that. And
nice.
and I mean, obviously I'm still trying to get to his level, but you know, it kind of inspired me to try to just take on the front man.
Yeah. And Phil X is a really cool dude too. Like I saw a documentary he was in called Hired Guns. It had like Jason Hook in there from like formerly of Five Finger Death Punch. All the guys a few of the guys from the Billy Joel band, and Phil X was one of the guys who popped up, and his personality is like next level, like super chill kind of guy. So,
oh yeah, he's just so charismatic. I think that's what made him really stand out on YouTube. You know, back I think it was almost 10 years ago now that.
Oh yeah, he was one of those early. I hate using the term YouTube guitarist, because there's more depth to it than that. But
right,
yeah, he was a amazing YouTube guitarist, you know?
Yeah, it just goes to show that the positive side of social media when it comes to being artists. You know, I mean, this is
exactly. Now, we can't pass up talking about, you know, guitarists and guitars without seeing a few of your collection, man. Because for those of you who don't know it, Ben's got this awesome black Les Paul, but he's actually a endorsed artist for Seaglass guitars, and he's got some really cool ones. So if you go to seaglassguitars.com, you're going to see his signature model. So let's start with the signature, and then we'll work on some of the other ones.
Sure. Yeah. Let me grab that one.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is the BC3 as we call it.
That is awesome.
It's based off of so Seaglass has the RM3, which is, you know, their single cut guitar. So when I hooked up with them a couple years ago, and you know, they make some amazing guitars, you know, great local company. And so I mean, I basically just kind of took a lot of the ideas that the RM3 model had, and just kind of, you know, I wouldn't call them improvements at all. I just call them, you know,
personalized them, maybe
different. Yeah.
There you go.
And, you know, I added a whammy bar on a tremolo system because for me, I think it's kind of sacrilegious to have any sort of whammy bar on a Les Paul.
Yeah.
So this is you know, original enough to be it
doesn't, you know, it's not blasphemous.
Exactly. Yes. So that's the big one. I had Roger do a reverse headstock, kind of just a little homage to Hendrix.
Nice.
And then the other big thing too, I should say, is that he actually routed out. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but he routed out the cutaway for a little bit. So it's almost more like
he gave you more access on that hook.
Yeah. So I can really reach up there with a lot of ease.
Oh, wonderful! Now, the back of that neck is a flamed maple, right? It's got like a. That is gorgeous. Look at that.
Yeah. So this is my my custom
signature model.
Yeah.
And if anybody's looking to purchase a version of that, head on over to www.seaglassguitars.com. I'll have that link in the bio as well, and I'll probably have a direct link to Ben Cote's model on that website. Now, what pickups do you have in there? Those are Dimarzios, right?
Yes, I'm a Dimarzio artist. I've been endorsed by Dimarzio since I think it was 2017. I hooked up with them, and this is, so I figured the first guitar my first custom guitar that I had with Seaglass was you know, based on an SG. And it's kind of the whole vibe. It was kind of like a vintage, you know, really relic kind of old school thing. So I figured with this one, I wanted to go the exact opposite direction. So I wanted to be, you know, more modern, high gain. So I actually have Dimarzio Super Distortion in the bridge position, and then in the neck it's a Super 2. So this is by far the highest gain guitar that I have.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a similar combo to what the guys in Def Leppard have, believe it or not, because I think they do a Super 1 in the neck and a Super 2 in the bridge. So you kind of
I think so. Yeah.
You flip them. Yeah, that's awesome. Right.
Yeah. So it's definitely a hard rock monster, you know.
And then you've got the hip shot knobs, or do you have the speed?
Yes, he's a hip shot, I believe.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep. So the locking tuners.
Yeah, the locking tuners, and then so, and it's all black hardware too. That's really cool.
Yeah. You know, then we're debating on, you know, if we should have cream or black hardware for it, but I figured, you know,
I think you made the right call off the cream.
We decided
it stands out, you know.
Yeah, I remember Roger sent me photos of both, you know, before actually, you know, attaching anything, and we both decided that, especially because we have should point this out too, it's not binding, but it's a natural,
it's the faux wood grain binding thing.
So I think that's really
that's
elegant.
Awesome.
Yeah, so since we had that, that's figured we have the cream.
That's so cool. Now, you mentioned you had a SG styled one.
Yes, let me grab that. I can.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this was the first one.
Oh, that is awesome. And it's got the input jack like a strap.
Yeah, so this I will use the term improvements, because Roger and I decided to make some improvements to the SG model, because it started. I mean, I met Roger a few years back, and it started off where you know, he'd lend me a couple of his new models that he was working on for me to play at a show. Like, he'd be like, "Oh, you're playing at the House of Blues next weekend. Do you mind taking this guitar and see what you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure."
Oh,
And then
awesome.
from there, it went to whenever he was at the Northeast Guitar Expo conventions,
Yep.
I'd go down, I'd play at his booth for him. And then he asked me, he said, "Well, he's like, I'd love to build you a guitar, to thank you for everything you've done for me." So I was like, "Thank you." So what are you thinking? I'm like, "Well, I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't really have any SGs, and I kind of always, wanted a guitar like that. Maybe can we do something in that realm?" He said, "Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely." So the big improvement that Roger made was on an SG. The neck doesn't go into the body as much as it does on here. So this is actually more like a Les Paul,
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
yeah. So the issue with the Gibson version is that not only is it top heavy, it's pretty fragile.
Yeah,
Because
and the neck tends to flop if you're not careful, especially in time
yeah,
in temperature and climate changes.
yeah. So Roger made that adjustment. So it really is really sturdy, and uh, to me, to my ear, it sounds like it gives it a little more sustain too. I don't know. I'm not a luthier.
Yeah, but I imagine if it's all stable and even like a little more into the body, it's going to probably do that. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
So there's that, and then normal SGs have the top mount jack, but it's sticking straight out, and it's like when I'm moving around a lot on stage, like I'm always afraid that it snap right out. So we decided, actually, it was my idea to put the Strat, because I don't want it to be on the end. I think being on
Yeah.
the copper body's cool. So, and it makes it a little bit different. And then on both my sea glass guitars, I hadn't put just three knobs. It's a master volume. I'm sorry, volume for each, and then a master tone. I don't really use the tone knob that much. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
See, that's really cool, and it looks like you've got it relicked as well.
Yeah. He relicked some of it, but
And some of it happened naturally, right?
a lot of it. Yeah. So actually, the buckle rash, that's
I see that. Yeah,
do any of that. That's all from playing it.
that is so cool. Like, and
Yeah.
that's a really cool way to relic is just because I don't think people realize something. Like, you're a workhorse when it comes. Like, you will play every show you can. Like, you go like 100 all the time.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, like the fact that you were doing these guitar shows, you got the attention. Even like you're an unsigned artist, so you've got the attention of companies like Dimarzio and even Sea Glass Guitars. So it's pretty cool to see, and that just comes through the grind, and that's exactly what you did to get there too. So
and that's, I mean, that's just the way I thought it was supposed to be done, was playing all the time. Because I mean, all my heroes, I mean, everyone that I listened to, were bands that started in the 60s and 70s, 80s, and 90s, where that's all they did was just play. And I remember, especially at Berklee, I mean, I had an advantage where I'm from Massachusetts, so when I went to Berklee, the Ben Cote Band formed out of an old band that I had prior to that, which I had in high school. So I already had some contacts at venues, and so by the time I got to Berklee, I was already gigging like at least once a week, usually more, a couple times a week, as well as being a full-time student there. And I remember some of my professors there were always like making such a big deal, like that's so great that you're playing all the time like that. Like, not too many students here do that. And I'm sitting there like, that's what you're supposed to do. Like,
I think as times change, especially in this region, I don't want to say it's become harder for musicians to book gigs, but it seems like some of the venues aren't as open or receptive. So the fact that you had your foot in the door from previous bands' experience, and the fact that you're able to draw in with what you're doing now is fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it was just like I said, just what I always thought. Like, you're supposed to do it as a musician, but
but you have the right mindset for it. It's like you work hard and you just keep plugging away, and that's what musicians need to kind of take into account too, where it's like nobody's going to go out there and do it for you. You got to put the work in, and you've put the work in, and the fruits of your labor show in it, and that's fantastic.
Well, thank you, because it is kind of a paradox. I feel like, for people that aren't professional, aren't musicians, or kind of outside of that whole scene, because people will just see just the glamour, right? They'll just see you on stage, they'll just see you on the album covers, on pictures online. They don't see the thousands and tens of thousands of hours that go on behind the scenes to do all that. So it's you got to have thick skin. You got to have determination and work ethic to be able to try
Oh,
to make
absolutely.
something happen. And a lot of times it's a lot of hard work with very little to sometimes even no payoff. And you just got to be, you got to find that motivation. You got to find that drive in you somewhere else sometimes. And for me, it was just always been just about the music and just about playing. And I love playing live. And when I write songs and when I record albums, I'm doing it to play those songs live, which I feel like not too many people do that anymore. It's because it's the landscape of what it is now. But
Yeah.
live music, if you can really play and you can do it well, then good songs and talent never go out of style.
That's right. Talent and good songwriting are always going to be a factor, regardless if it's on stage, on an album, or anywhere else. That's awesome. Now, I've got a couple more questions. So, do you have anything that you've got coming up? Like, I know you have these two guitars from Sea Glass. Is there anything else you want to? Or I saw a teaser picture on your Instagram. You want to reveal a little bit about that, or do you want to save it for?
Yeah, I guess there's another guitar company based in San Diego, California, called Iconic Guitar.
Okay.
I heard about them for a while, and we ended up getting talking, through Instagram, and they offered to see what they could do for me as an artist. So I've been working with them, and that's all I'll say so far.
Okay, so just say no more. Say no more. I don't want. We're gonna. If you guys want to find out more about this the other project he's working on with Iconics, it's going to be on your Instagram, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so follow and subscribe on his Instagram page so you can keep updated on that project. Now you're also endorsed. I forgot the name of the pick company, but you actually have signature guitar picks.
Yeah, Anatomy of Sound, right here. I'm ready. Here,
all right.
Start down, then I can talk about those.
Yeah.
I do have two more guitars here too that I can talk about if we have time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Especially for Instagram. Yeah. So Anatomy of Sound, another company that I met via Instagram, but yeah, because they reached out. Actually, I'll give a shout out to Larry, who's the founder and the genius behind these picks.
Oh, awesome.
He reached out to me, I want to say maybe it was 2 years ago now. And, the 3D picks. And I've always been kind of just, I guess purist would be the best word for it, with a pick where I didn't really want anything fancy. I know like a lot of players use the jazz picks and things, and I'd never really had any care about that. It's just a standard 1mm. And I remember Larry reached out to me, said, he's based out of California as well. Yeah. And offered to send me some guitar picks. All right, so I'll try them out. I said I'm really not into fancy stuff. Yeah. If you don't mind. And he had a few different models, and the one that I just got drawn to immediately was it's actually a brand new set he just sent me this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
But called the bikini pick. So I can hold it up. I'm not sure if you can see it. So
I see it. Yeah. Oh wow, that's cool.
Bottom. So that's that's who doesn't love summertime, but
and it kind of goes with the shred thing that you do with the albums too. So
oh yeah, it's definitely part of that part of that. But the cool thing about it is it's 3D in the sense that it is meant to be shaped like a bikini bottom, but it fits your thumb very comfortably. Mm-hmm. And the pick itself it's basically, I don't know the exact measurement, but it's like a 1mm like I use anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's just really comfortable to hold. And I found myself actually, I feel like playing a little bit better because the more comfortable you are, at least for me, the more comfortable I am playing. It's like the less stuff I have to think about and worry about.
Oh yeah, that's really neat because it seems like it contours to your thumb.
Exactly.
Versus you having to adjust to the pick,
Yeah, and the part that's 3D is really just the part that your thumb's touching. So it's not really affecting the part that I'm picking. So it wasn't really like a drastic change in tone from what I was using before.
Yeah.
It just felt really comfortable and like I said, contours. And I've been really digging them. And Larry's a really, really great guy. And he has other models too. I think, oh yeah, he sent me some here. Like this is a newer one that he has. It's a little more like a jazz pick. It looks actually
like a seashell.
Yeah. Then he has one too called the heartbeat picks. I don't know if I have any here because they're more like a jazz pick.
Yeah.
Which for me isn't really what I've used. Yeah, I have cases of the bikini picks that he that he sends me. And he has
That's awesome.
different sizes of them. He has like the smaller versions, like jazz picks. He's got some thicker ones for bass players. And then he has different materials too. But I like the bronze one. It just seems to be as far as the sound goes, that's what I'm digging. But yeah, Anatomy of Sound.
That's awesome. And for anybody who's interested in that, once this video airs on my YouTube channel, links for that will be made available as well. So we can
I do have an artist
if you
page.
like the picks, yeah.
An artist page on their site, so they can check that out too. I think on my artist page he has the exact model of picks that I use. So people.
Perfect. So anybody who's interested in the Ben Cote bikini picks, we'll have a link to that available as well. All right. You said you had 2 more guitars you wanted to show? I
do, yeah. I don't want to take too much of your time.
But, it's all good, man. Anytime I get to see guitars, I will make time.
so this is, everyone on Instagram always asks me, "What's your favorite guitar? What's your favorite guitar?" And it has to be this one. This is my Desert Island guitar. This is Trixie.
That's awesome.
She is a 2011 Gibson Les Paul Sam Ash exclusive 1960 traditional that I got. I bought her in 2012. It was new. It was like leftover stock.
Yep.
And it was from the Sam Ash out in LA. And I pumped gas. I was talking about pumping gas. I pumped gas for 2 years together. I was 17, and this has been she's been all over she's been to LA with me. She's been to New York City, Nashville. I mean, Cleveland.
That's awesome.
I mean, all over. And this is all 100% just playing thousands
natural wear. Yeah.
Hours. You can see there's some wear on the front too. That's not.
And by the way, if you want to flip, can you flip that to the back again?
Oh yeah.
That's all natural relic, and you can tell that's where like the arm and the sweat kind of get into the grain and the wood, and then the buckle rash. So it's like this wasn't relic at some shop or some luthier did that. That was all Ben just playing, hundreds and hundreds of shows and thousands and thousands of hours. So
and you can see because I mean Jay Tulio, I'll give a shout out to him. Is my exclusive guitar tech. He's the only one I'd let touch.
Mine too. So shout out to Jay Tulio at Jay's Guitar Garage.
It's the last time he had this, because I usually try to get guitars set up. If there's nothing else I need, I mean, I swap out pickups a lot because I'm crazy. But
I do that too, man. That's a gearheaded at heart,
So even when I don't have things like that, usually once a year or twice a year I'll have him, give it a tune up. And last time he had it, he's like, I was trying to really polish it to make it shine. So then I realized a lot of it wasn't that it needed to be polished. It's just, it's the paint's coming off, and that's why it's more satin looking. But there's some marks here. You can, I don't know if you.
I see them.
Those are from, because I used to at the end of the show I'd take off my belt and I'd put the guitar on the ground. I whip it at the end, and then the drummer Paco would line up on the hits and make it faster and faster. And then I started doing more and more damage to it, so I don't really do that too much anymore.
Now, what pickups do you have in that model?
The pickups that came stock with this were a Gibson 57 Classic Plus and a 57 Classic, and those are great. I used those for years, but I ended up once I hooked up with Dimarzio. I went through a few different Dimarzio models. The ones that I settled with that I really, really love is Norton in the bridge, and then Air Norton in the neck. And
nice.
They're just kind of the perfect.
That's a good combo for that kind of for the Les Paul. Yeah. Yeah,
because it does have this really nice kind of mid-range hump to it, which is almost kind of like a Slash sound, even though he doesn't use Dimarzio's. Yeah. But and then the Air Norton is my all-time favorite neck pickup for any guitar.
Yeah, that's a really good neck pickup.
Yeah, and it's really versatile for, it doesn't really matter whether it's a Strat or a Tele or Les Paul. It just sounds good whenever. Yeah,
back in the early 2000s when I was with my first iteration of the Alex Lopez band back in like 08 or 09, I had this Cayenne red 50s neck Les Paul. And it was kind of a very similar combo. I had an Air Norton in the neck which, like you said, it's an amazing neck pickup, one of the best that I've ever heard, but actually had a drop zone in the bridge.
Okay.
Dimarzio, and that combination was insane too. But so like when you're saying like, oh, the Air Norton, like just from personal experience, I know how great that neck pickup is.
Yeah, I have it in multiple guitars. I have actually an Air Norton is in my C glass, the first one, the SG style one.
Nice.
In the neck position of that. In my white Strat, I have an Air Norton in the neck position of that. It's really it's my go-to neck pickup.
Oh, nice. Now you had one more guitar you wanted to show off?
I do, yes, because this is the guitar that Instagram just goes nuts over all the time. Especially in the past almost 5 months now. Actually, it's 5 months a couple days ago. Which I've had this guitar forever, and it really wasn't. It wasn't the guitar it is now when I got it, but
yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, this is my Kramer 5150. I got this in 2009. It came in used at Gordon LaSalle's.
Yep, I remember that guitar.
And it really needed a lot of work because when let's see, it was like I said 2009. So I used it a lot throughout high school. And back then, I mean, I really didn't know as much. I obviously didn't know as much then as I do now about guitars and about tone and about just playability. Because there's a lot of issues with it that I just didn't really recognize back then.
Yeah.
So I mean, the older I got, after a while, this just became kind of a wall decoration because the pickup that it came with, I don't even know if I still even have it, was microphonic. So it's like, I can barely use it. The Floyd Rose that was in it was horrible. I mean, the original nut on it, it sounded like a sitar because it was like so twangy and metal sound. So it was actually like early last year, 2020, when everything went remote everywhere. That's when I'm like, maybe I'll try to do some work on on this.
Nice little project, yeah.
So Jay technically, but I brought it to Jay. I said, I really want to get this playing. So he looked at it and he told me, he's like, yeah, it's gonna need a lot of work. So it happened kind of over the course of maybe 6 months, getting everything I needed. And the big one was, he's like, it needs a whole new Floyd Rose system because he said that the screws in it were completely stripped from the old one, so there's no way to really set it up. So I ended up getting a whole new Floyd Rose system. He was able to fix the nut. I don't think he used a new one. Somehow he made it so it doesn't sound like a sitar anymore.
Nice.
I talked to my rep at Dimarzio because I said, I really want a Van Halen sounding pickup. Like, what's the closest thing you have? So I heard the Tone Zone was really close to that.
Nice.
And they made the Wolfgang pickups back when he was with Peavey in the 90s. They were Dimarzios and I guess if you buy the Music Man Access, which is the same thing as the Ernie Ball, Wolfgang, I guess they have Dimarzios in it. They're exclusive. You can't buy them from anywhere else. You have to buy an Ernie Ball.
They're Access exclusives, yeah. Yeah.
So I said, well, what's the closest to that? And he told me, and I don't know if I should be saying this public, but I will anyway. He's like, yeah, it's like the Andy Timmons signature, the AT1. He said,
oh,
it's
wow,
the same exact spec. So I'm all right. so I got one of those in here, and it sounds absolutely killer.
That's awesome. And you've got the red sparkle 5150 there too.
Yeah, and this, and I mean, most of, other than the Floyd Rose and the pickup and all the internal like the potentiometer, everything, all the internal electronics are all completely new. Jay had to get all that. But other than that, I mean, I don't know the origin of this guitar because it came in used at Gordon's, and Instagram, just especially after Eddie's passing, just going nuts. Like, man, where'd you get that guitar? Is that an original? I'm like, I don't think it is.
Still looks cool.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a Kramer, and I know Kramer doesn't make the Van Halen guitars anymore. And then I know EVH makes them, but they're a little bit different. I mean, they have the Striped series, so they have like all the 70s models, but the Kramers would have used in the 80s, like on the 5150 tour and 94 and all that. So I don't know if the previous owner bought just like a plain white Kramer Beretta and did it themselves, or because Jay did some research on it, and it's made in USA. It's Neptune, New Jersey.
Yep.
So Jay dated it. He thought it was around 2002 that it was made, but then another friend of mine, Brian Kelly, who was the bass teacher at Gordon LaSalle back in the day.
Okay, shout out to Brian Kelly.
And he dated it too, and he thought it was built in 1986, but I don't think it was the original because it wasn't that expensive. But yeah. But the other cool thing I should note too is I have drop D tuner or drop.
Oh, nice! You got the D tuna.
Yeah, tuna as it's called. No, that's not our Boston accent. That's that's the actual name.
Yeah, it's literally D-TUNA. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's not a Boston or New England accent. It's called the D tuna.
Yeah, so that's really handy. And then the other tricks too that I should talk about is because as far as Floyd Rose goes, when I was in high school, I loved him, and then I kind of got impatient when it came to tuning them and keeping them in tune and all that.
Yeah.
So I actually talked to the guitar player for David Lee Roth's current solo band, Frankie Lindia, on Instagram, because I asked him, because I have a Charvel, which I guess I can show that too. I have a limited edition Charvel, which I love as well. Nice. That Frankie Lindia from David Lee Roth's band has that same model, and I asked him, well, how do you have it be dive only? How'd you set it up? And he turned me on to FU Tone, which is actually the name of the company.
yeah. It's just he's not swearing at anybody.
Yeah.
It's the name of the brand. Yeah.
Yeah. They have it was like $15, easiest fix ever. Called I think it's called the trem stopper, the trem lock, which you can see right here. It's literally just a screw that you screw it in, and then it has a screw on the other side that you can adjust so it hits the block.
Yeah.
So you can only go dive only. So Jay put that in there for me, and so now it's dive only, which is great because now I don't have to worry about keeping it floating and all that. So it makes my life so much easier as far as tuning and restringing. And the other cool thing that I have, because I've been definitely getting back into Floyd Rose guitars now because of all this. Yeah. But the one invention that made me love Floyd Rose again is actually based out of Massachusetts, I believe, called Hex Hider. And it is an Allen wrench that you can use for your locking, your locks.
Oh, wow.
That fits, the locks up here, and it fits for down here. And the coolest part is it has a magnet on it, so you can keep it on the back of your headstock wherever you go. So I have one for my Kramer and then one for my Charvel too.
Oh, that's so cool.
So Hex Hider, I believe they're based out of Massachusetts.
All right.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
This has become, it went from being my main guitar that I learned on for the most part, kind of grew up on this, to becoming just kind of a wall decoration, to being responsible for a good chunk of my Instagram followers, I think.
That's so cool. Yeah. Now, Ben, we're just about out of time. Is there anything you want to plug? Any shout outs you want to give? Where all the information, all your socials and your handles are going to be on the link to this video. But if you want to shout those out now, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Instagram is my big one that I'm on. It's at the Ben Cote. So that way you're not confused with any other Ben Cotes. It's the Ben Cote. And from there you can, I think I sent my Linktree account, which gives all the links in one place to everything.
Perfect.
But you can check out the Ben Cote Band on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, any digital streaming service. We're on that. YouTube, we have almost about a dozen music videos now for our
awesome.
All our tunes. So you can check out, because that's the big thing. I mean, on Instagram, I'm very grateful for my following and all the fans that I have there. The thing that I see the most is always, do you have any albums? Do you write any songs? Because on Instagram, it's like they see all my videos and they see me playing. So I do. I have 3 albums worth. So check out that. And then the latest single, I should mention, I didn't say yet. The latest single I've released was actually this past Valentine's Day, called Strike First. It's an instrumental. I played a lot of synths on it. It was nice. Inspired by the Cobra Kai TV series, very 80s sounding. That's why the name. But that was kind of part of the whole COVID lockdown, me just messing around with producing and really 80s sounding synths and a lot of flashy guitars. 80s sounding guitars.
So, like I said, his everything Ben just mentioned about his socials and the links will be available in the description of this video. I want to take a moment to thank you again, Ben, for making yourself available for this interview. This will be up in a few weeks. So again, thank you so much. And this has been Alex Lopez Talks and chatting it up with Ben Cote from the Ben Cote Band.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, awesome. Thank you guys so much.